Hello everyone, welcome to story time. Welcome to our Mars. Welcome to our seashells again. Hello seashells. And there's even our little squirrel for this story time. And today I've got a boat. A boat floating on some water. And that's a clue to something in our story today, which is where the wild things are. There might be a boat in this story. Okay, are you ready? It's story time. It's story time. Shh, listen. What's going on? Our story is called Where the Wild Things Are, and it's written by Maurice Sendak, and he drew the pictures as well. Some lovely leaves. Where the wild things are. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. There's Max. And another. Max chasing his dog. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. There he is. How is he feeling there? Angry? Cross? Upset? That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. Look at these trees going up in Max's bedroom. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. Look at his bedroom now. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max. And he sailed off through night and day. And his boat even says his name, Max. And in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. Look, a wild thing. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Look at those wild things. Max doesn't look very happy there. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. There's Max, taming and frightening those wild things. Maybe you are good at staring without blinking once. And they made him king of all wild things. There Max is, wearing a crown and being a king. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." Let's see what a wild rumpus looks like. That looks fun, doesn't it? Having a wild party with the wild things. And Max is even riding on the back of one of those wild things. "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. There he is, having a think about somewhere where someone loved him best of all. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. And into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. There it is on the table. And it was still hot. That's the end of the story, where the wild things are. Did you like that story? It's quite exciting. So, we've had our boat floating on the water, so I thought it would be fun to do an experiment and see what different things will float on the water or will sink to the bottom of the water. So the boat floats on the top of the water. Let's try some other things. Okay, what do you think about a Duplo brick? Will it float or sink when we put it in the water? Have a think. You can predict if it will float or sink. I think maybe float, I'm not sure. It floated. Okay, how about a stone? What do you think? Will it float or sink? Let's try. It sunk to the bottom. Okay, how about a feather? Float or sink? It's quite light, isn't it? Feather? Let's see. Float or sink? It floated. Okay. How about some lolly sticks? I'm going to move the Duplo to make some space and the feather. So, lolly sticks, do they float or sink? Let's see. They float. Well done. What else have I got? A little leaf. This one's from an oak tree. Float or sink? Let's see. It floats, just like a little boat floating on the water. And I've got a toy fish. Float or sink? Let's try. Ooh. The fish floats. I'll take out the lolly sticks to make some space. And I've got a small twig and it's covered in lichen. Can you see this green on it? And it's quite rough and bumpy. Do you think the small twig will float or sink? Let's see. It floats as well, like a little boat. I'm going to move the fish so you can see a bit better. There's the stick floating. And the last one I've got is a different twig. It's longer and it's much thinner. Do you think this one will float or sink? Let's try. We'll move Big Stick out of the way. It floated. It's at the top. Wow, you might be able to find some things at your home that you could do an experiment with and check if they float or sink when you put them in water. Have fun, and we'll see you next time for another story. Bye.